Greetings everyone, and I hope you're all happy and healthy out there in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another 1/10 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking an up-close look at Neca's take on the ultimate Kessler Wolf from director John Landis' now classic 1981 horror movie, An American Werewolf in London. The review will take the usual well-trodden path. We'll have a quick look at the box, then it will be out with the stateside lycanthrope himself for an up-close look. Then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we get into it, the usual shout-outs and background. Firstly, to everyone who has subscribed to and supported the channel, a massive thank you to all of you out there for watching. And for those of you watching who haven't subscribed yet, and I know there's a lot of you, come on, jump in, it's cost and pain free. You'll be making an old man very happy, and that's worth the price of admission alone. And you'll be sure not to miss any of the new content coming up on the channel, and trust me, there's a hell of a lot of it, so everybody wins. So, background. Well, I'm not going to bang on too much about John Landis' take on the tale of two American students on vacation in England who were attacked by a werewolf, because that was a common problem in the north of England in the 1980s. Suffice it to say that the movie firmament occasionally sees a perfect alignment of stars. A director at the top of his game, a great script pitched perfectly between comedy and scares, a fantastic soundtrack, amazing performances, and of course 7 times Academy Award winning Rick Baker's genius practical special effects, way before CGI came along and pissed on everybody's chips. But that's enough of my ramblings about American Werewolf in London. Channel update, yes, now. So as you may or may not know, and as I just mentioned, Go Figure is officially a year old today. Cue trumpets, cake, silly hats, copious alcohol consumption and general childlike behaviour. It's a double celebration as Mr. and Mrs. Go Figure's youngest is officially tying the knot this weekend as well. So no doubt very soon we will be hearing the pitter-patter of tiny 1/6 scale feet. And following the nuptials, Mr. and Mrs. Go Figure will be jetting off to sunnier climes for some well-deserved R&R for a couple of weeks. The upshot of all this is new content is going to slow down just a little bit for a while on the channel. But fear not, normal service will be resumed very soon. And as no doubt I will return to a shed load of new figures and statues for review. Might manage to get some stuff up in the bag before we go, but as you can imagine, it's all hands to the pump here at Chateau Go Figure at the moment. But that's enough of my nuptial ramblings and American Werewolf ramblings. Onto the box. So it's the usual Neca story here, very, very high level of presentation. Let's stop it from spinning and have a close-up look. It's the book opening, velcroed front flap that we see in most Neca boxes, slightly larger and a slightly stranger shape than the normal figure. Obviously this is animal shaped rather than human shaped. What you've got on the front here is this lovely artwork, and once again this is done by Osborne, who is responsible for an awful lot of the rather spectacular artwork that you see on the front of Neca boxes, and I really like it. I think his style suits the subject matter perfectly. What you've got is a picture here of the Kessler Wolf itself in the background with the full moon and the clouds. You've got what looks like the slaughtered lamb there, and there's David and Jack walking towards it across the misty moors. It says An American Werewolf in London in the bottom left-hand corner. X there. I'm assuming that's X for the X certificate that this film landed itself on release, with John Landis refusing to cut it. And it says Ultimate Kessler Wolf at the bottom there, and this is a signature of Osborne too. Around the sides here, there's a shot of the head of the figure itself. It says An American Werewolf in London. Neca at the bottom left. Real Toys on the bottom right. We'll bring it round to the right-hand side. Same thing again here, but a shot of the alternate head sculpt, because this does come with swappable head sculpts. There are 2 head sculpts in total, which is a nice touch from Neca. On the top, once again, American Werewolf in London, and you've got the warning there on the left-hand side, and Neca on the right-hand side. Same story on the bottom here, as we normally see with Neca figures. You've got the credits on the left-hand side, all the bits and pieces there, all your warnings and stuff. Don't piss this figure off, or you might find yourself waking up in a zoo. Around the back, Once again, it's what we normally see on a Neca box, some really high quality HD photography. It says American Werewolf in London in the top left hand corner. There's a brief rundown of the film there if you're wanting to read that. If you can read that, feel free to hit the pause button. And then some really nice shots of the figure itself with the swap out head sculpts in different poses. So yeah, there you have it. Around the front, it's, as I say, it's the usual story. You've got that Velcro fastening and you are greeted with the normal clear plastic window. Behind that is the figure itself, and on the left hand side, on the inside cover, another fantastic photo of the Kessler Wolf emerging from the alleyway in the final scenes of the film. So yeah, there you have it. That is the Neca box, the American Werewolf Kessler Wolf box from Neca. Very nice it is too, to the usual high standards. So without further ado, let's get this lycanthrope out. Let's dive down onto the table and have a close-up look at him. Okay, so here he is. It's the Kessler Wolf himself, straight out of the box, straight onto the turntable. And as regulars to my channel will know, I would normally give first impressions at this point if this was a new figure, but it's not a new figure. I've had this in the collection a while. It was initially released, I think, back in about 2021, and I've pretty much had it since that point. So can't give first impressions, but as regulars will also know, I can give 10th, 20th, 1000th impression, and I am still super impressed with this figure, from the paint applications to the sculpt to the screen accuracy. I recently reviewed the quarter scale Neca Big Chap on the channel, and those of you who've watched that video will know I mentioned in there that this is up there in my most favourite Neca figures of all time, probably in the top 5, most certainly. Well, maybe even the top 3 of what I think, anyway, are the best Neca figures of all time. It's just all round really well done, and I absolutely love this piece. But before it turns into a gush fest, let's do what we normally do. Let's stop this guy from spinning and take an up close look at him. Let's bring him back into shot. I was going to say we'll start at the bottom and work our way up, but there's you know, where is that with this figure? So we'll get him off the stand and on the turntable and into shot and have a closer look at the details here. So yeah, we'll start with these back legs. Now the back legs themselves are they're highly articulated, and the articulation on this, it needed good articulation, this figure, and Neca haven't let us down. What you've got at the back here are the back paws themselves are on a joint there, so there's some movement in there. The paint applications are really nice. You've got that yellowing and discoloration on the claw section there. There's a certain amount of movement in there. There's not a huge amount of movement, but what this allows you to do is, once you position the legs, is to find that sweet spot so that they sit flat to whatever surface you've got them on. It's jointed at the ankle there, then jointed at the, I'm going to call this the knee, but it's probably knee 1, rear knee shall we call it. So it's jointed there as well, so you've got give in there. That's a small ratcheted joint. Then there's another small ratcheted joint there. Not quite as much play in this one here, in this second one. In the higher of the 2 knees, but as you move up, then you've got a ball joint in the hip section of the leg there, which gives you pretty much almost a 360 movement and lateral movement as well, which is it'll come out to about this far, that leg. So yeah, what does strike me, and always has with this piece straight away, is the sculpting and the paint applications of the fur. I think they are phenomenal. I can get this right into shot here. You can see that there are blacks in there, there are light sections, there are different shades of brown, a darker brown and so on. And the way it's been sculpted all over gives it different textures. There's different textures on the spine, which we'll take a look at, different textures on the chest area and the abdomen. But overall, yeah, paint applications are absolutely superb. Great to see the joints in the backs of the joints here have been painted in the same color as the figure, so they are really well hidden, and just overall how the joints have been done on this does conceal them really well. There's a claw here, a talon shall we say, about halfway up the leg, which differs ever so slightly on the front ones, but we'll take a look at that. As you move up the body, as I say, it's the variation in sculpt on this particular piece that gives it that flowing fur-like effect, along with the really good paint applications. What you come to here about mid-abdomen section is another joint. Now, there's not much play in that joint. There's a little bit of give there, but not an awful lot. But what you see is the spinal detail fur picked out there really, really well, and that's raised. Once again, screen accurate. Picked out the rib cage there as well. If I can get that into shot, you can see the ribs there. And underneath, you start to see this this layering effect of the sculpt. The plastic here is relatively hard, but it gives that that fur-like effect around that chest area where the character was furrier, where the wolf was furrier, and that leads you up to the front legs. Now, the front legs are slightly different to the rear legs in the way that they've been done. The front foot is bigger, which is once again is screen accurate, jointed ever so slightly differently here to allow you to have that sort of back heavy look if you're wanting to go for it. It's jointed here where the foot meets the leg. Now, these are quite stiff, and you know, notoriously sometimes Neca joints can be a bit stiff, so you might have to play with this to get it to foots it to get it into the angle that you want for the pose that you want. But yeah, then you've got another joint here. You've got a third joint further up there, which is once again that's ratcheted as well, and finally leads you to this ball joint at the top here as well. Now this ball joint is slightly less movable than the one on the rear, simply because of this sort of, I won't say cape or cowl effect, but because of the nature of the sculpt of the plastic, there's a bit more resistance there. But you can go for that sort of either, how can I put this, slightly narrower shouldered look, or if you're really wanting to go for the leg splayed look, they will come right out. And I'll just put that in position so you can see that. So you can have that head a lot lower with the haunches a lot lower. I really like that look. I think that look is excellent. But you can see the way the sculpt's done here. It really does, as I mentioned before, make that fur flow, and the way that it actually comes away from the body gives it a really super realistic fur effect. And then onto this head sculpt. Now, let's try and get this head sculpt into shot as much as possible. This is really the icing on the cake, this head sculpt. I think it is absolutely wonderful. And what you've got underneath here, and I'll take this head sculpt off so you can see it, and this is partly how Neca have created this layered effect. There's almost a, how can I put this? It's like a collar, a soft plastic collar. And when that combines with the front pieces, and I'll just lower this leg so you can see it, when it combines with the front pieces here, so you've got the soft plastic off the bottom of the head sculpt itself that then layers into this neck type arrangement here, which then leads into the chest area as well. So you get that layered fur effect, which is really, really nice to see. But yeah, this head sculpt, where to begin? I think this is absolutely superb. I really do. I think some of Neca's best work here. Proportions, absolutely on point. Paint applications and that fur effect, the same as the rest of the body, really, really well done. Tiny little ears there have been picked out. The eyebrows are really well done. Super glassy and orange eyes there. Capture that menacing look. And then onto this mouth. Now, this mouth area is really, really excellently sculpted and painted. The gums are wet and have been given a wash there to pick out the detailing. They've got that super high gloss paint on them to give them that wet look. The teeth are yellowed. The proportions are right. And there's sort of a black wash in the crevices there to pick out the individual teeth. Just absolutely nailed on. Now, this, as I mentioned at the top there, this piece comes with two interchangeable head sculpts. Now, normally what you see with these, and I'll pop him down for a second while we're popping back on the turntable, give him some height here. Now, it can be a little bit of a, hair has managed to find its way in there. It can be a little bit tricky to pose sometimes. It takes some finagling to get the look that you want. I like this low down look, but you can go for haunches slightly higher. So it takes a bit of mucking around. There's a lot of joints here. So yeah, a bit of finagling on this one to get it to into the look that you want in your display. But it is worth the time, because once you nail it on and dial that pose in, it looks stunning. But yeah, second head sculpt. So the second, I'm a bit loath to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Some companies, shall we say, when they provide you with two head sculpts, it often it feels like the second head sculpt's a bit of an afterthought. Have you ever experienced that? I know I have. You end up using one and the other one ends up in a drawer, in a box, in a bag somewhere and forgotten about. Not the case with this figure, and I'll show you why. This is the this is the second of the two head sculpts. Now, I think this is absolutely amazing. I really do. This is the open mouth head sculpt. Now, it's sculpted in exactly the same way, with the sort of this curtain of soft plastic at the bottom here, and then the eyes are the same, the ears are the same pretty much. The big difference here, obviously, is this huge open mouth, which I think is phenomenally well done. It is so visceral and so scary. Mouth wide open. The sculpt inside that mouth is, if the camera's catching this, is great, even down to the roof of the mouth. You've got that super high gloss wet paint look to give it that wet look. There's blood effects in there. The lips are drawn back over the gums, which have been washed to give that detail. Yeah, the teeth really, really well sculpted, and just overall an absolutely fantastic second head sculpt. I don't know which one I prefer. I think I'm leaning towards this one. I tend to display it with this one when I just genuinely think this is a great piece of work, and it's a relatively simple swap out. We'll swap it out. Just it's as I mentioned, it's on a joint here at the neck area. When you remove this head, what will happen is this collar, which is a sort of soft plastic rubber, as I mentioned, comes away. Not sure why you want to remove, but I think they've kept this free floating actually here. And I'll just move this turntable back, because when you angle the head, you can actually put this at an angle as well, and it gives it that. Well, I'll put the head on so you can see what I mean. If you futz around with that sort of collar section and get it off center, and I'll just try and get this all in shot. It's not the easiest thing. You can actually move this collar section round. So as the head moves, you can actually angle that collar as well. And what that will do, it gives these layers at the bottom here that sense of movement. So rather than just going straight down the body and then the head's off at an angle, you can start that turn of the head, representing that turn of the head with this soft rubber collar here, and it just looks more natural, and it flows through. As you can see there's a flow from the chest area through the neck and then into the head itself, which I think is just a great little touch there from Neca. So yeah, there you have it. That is, we'll pop him back on the turntable and we'll go in for final thoughts on this guy. Try and get him to pose on here. As I mentioned, I like this sort of look, the shoulders slightly down look, but you can, if you're wanting to have them, the legs closer together and a more upright look, it's really entirely up to you. So posability, absolutely on point. Final thoughts. Screen accuracy, most certainly. It's nailed on. Sculpt, phenomenal. Paint applications are there. The level of detail, it's just all nailed on here from Neca. Let's just straighten that back leg out a bit. As you know, as regulars to the channel will know, if I can't find a fault with a figure, then I have to give it a 10. So it's going to have to be a 10 on this one. If I was to pick out anything niggly, I would say that. And this is not an articulation issue, this is just personal taste. Sometimes it can be it can take a little bit of futzing to get it just right, to get those, as you can see here, this foot's stuck up, so you'd have to go back in and maybe twist the leg ever so slightly and then bend that foot back down. But that's not really a complaint. That's sort of to be expected with something that's as articulated as this piece is. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. That's all I can say on that one. So there you have it. That is Neca's take on the 1/10 scale Kessler Wolf from John Landis's now legendary movie Amercan Werewolf in London. So what are your thoughts on this piece? Is it something you have in your collection? Are you thinking of picking up the Jack and David figures? What do you think of the movie? What do you think of Neca? What do you think of this piece? I would be fascinated to hear. So please drop a comment in the comment section below. And I hope this review's been useful for you. So what's coming up on the channel? Well, in the 1/6 scale, if I can speak, in the 1/6 scale world in the not too distant future, and I have been assured this is finally on its way to us, fingers crossed, is the Caustic Plastic Horror Dracula exclusive edition double pack. We've been waiting on that a long time, as viewers to the channel will know. So as I say, fingers crossed it's going to land soon. Also in the 1/6 scale world, we've got Hot Toys Kid Pool, should be with us soon. XO6's Savick and Krug. From Star Trek, we've got a boatload of premiere toy stuff, including Furiosa and Dementis from Mad Max, from Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. We've also got the Doof Warrior from Mad Max Fury Road. That's the deluxe edition. And also the Interstellar double pack as well from Premiere Toys. In Present Toys land, we've got Anton Chigurh, No Country for Old Men, Ripley from Aliens, Kaneda from Akira. The list goes on as far as Present Toys goes. Toys Battalion, Legendary Merchant, aka Tom Hardy. That should be with us or on its way to us soon. In the quarter scale world, Prime 1 Batman N52 statue, Prime 1 and Blitzway Paul Atreides statue from June, and a raft of other old stuff, new stuff. I won't bore you with the rest of it. We will be here for the rest of the afternoon. So yeah, be sure to hit that bell notification icon and subscribe button so you're not missing any of the content that's coming up on the channel. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is, from Neca's amazing take on the Kessler Wolf from American Werewolf in London, and myself, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.